This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'm all set.
Perfect. Would like to go ahead and start the August 19th Special Permit and License Board meeting. Mary Joy, if you'd like to go ahead and start the roll call, please.
Yes, Amin, Brown,
Here.
Hatfield,
Here.
Moe,
Here.
Rommelfinger,
Present.
Shu,
Here.
Velasquez.
Here.
Perfect.
Perfect. If everybody, hopefully everybody's had a moment to kind of take a look at the minutes from the last meeting.
Before we
Anybody
get
have
to
any
that,
questions?
Parker, before we get to that, Mary Joy, can you give for the record the basis for that you have for Mr. Amin not being here? That's your understanding?
Yes, when I sent out the meeting notice link on, I believe I did that on Monday, I got bounce backs from him both times that his email address no longer existed. So I did call both of the contact phone numbers that I had and double checked on emails, email addresses, and I sent another note today to an additional email address that I had. I didn't get a bounce back, but I did not hear from him. So I'm not really certain if he's just out of reach or what the deal is, but I was not able to get a response from him.
So Parker, as the acting chair, it's your duty, I guess, to determine if this falls into an excused absence or an unexcused absence. If you want to table this to hear from him at the next meeting, we can do that.
I mean, if we didn't hear from him 3 times, I mean, I would say it's an unexcused absence. If anybody would like to chime in, you're more than welcome to. All right. No comment means an unexcused absence.
Okay, thank you, Parker.
Perfect. Do we have a request or a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting that we had?
This is John Rommelfinger. I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented from our June 3rd, 2020 meeting.
This is Charlene Moe. I second.
Perfect. So we'll go with public hearing and new business. We have a hearing to consider a hotel and restaurant liquor license for Ayloff Denver North.
Did we approve the minutes? We had motions.
Yeah, and then we had a second from
Parker as chair can approve the motion for approving the minutes without a vote.
I thought we had a second. My apologies, but yes, I second that.
Well, we had a second. I think John is asking if we need to vote on it. And Ron
Yeah,
just.
so the minutes from the last meeting are approved.
Yeah, the chair can approve the minutes for that on a motion and second. All other matters of business need a vote, but that one does not.
Good.
Perfect. So the minutes are approved. We'll go ahead and move on to new business. So now we have a new business, a hearing to consider a hotel and restaurant liquor license for Ayloff Denver North. Do we have a representative for Ayloff Denver North?
Yes, this is Scott Somerville with
Perfect.
Marriott Loft Hotel.
Perfect. Can we get a request that the application to be read into the record?
Yes. This public hearing was scheduled to consider a hotel restaurant liquor license application from RP Westminster LLC, doing business as Ayloff Denver North, 14780 Delaware Street. The property is zoned PUD, and the sale of alcoholic beverages by the drink for on-premise consumption is an allowed use. Notice of this hearing was published in the Westminster Window on August 6th, and the property has been posted with signage to notify passersby of the date and time of this hearing for more than 10 days preceding this hearing. The designated neighborhood boundaries for petitioning purposes were on the north 150th Avenue, On the south, 144th Avenue. On the west, Calumet Street. And on the east, I-25. Surveying was completed by Oedipus Inc. and a copy of the pages of the survey were included in the packet. The pages with comments were the pages that were submitted, not the entire survey as part of the packet. There are currently 12 other hotel, restaurant, liquor licenses in the designated neighborhood. Mimi's Cafe, Who Hot Mongolian Grill, Rusty Bucket Restaurant and Tavern, Lazy Dog Restaurant and Bar, Faux Lee, Bito Bistro, Chipotle, Red Robin American's Gourmet Burger, Mount Fiji Hibachi Grill, Asti d'Italia, Three Margaritas, and VTLL LLC. I enter this information for the record.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary Joy. So next, does anyone have any questions on the survey? Or did you get a copy of the survey? Scott, did you get a copy of the survey?
No, we did not. Or, pardon me, no, I did not get a copy of the survey, but no questions from what was just entered.
Perfect. Could you go ahead and raise your right hand?
Wait,
We
wait.
can go ahead and swear you into the record.
Oh, hold on, right? So we just had Mary Joy read this into the
Sorry,
record.
Caleb. Sorry, Troy.
Troy needs to give the police reports thing, and then we need to see if there's any questions of Troy and if there's any questions regarding the survey before we go to the applicant.
Perfect. Troy, can you go ahead and raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct?
Yes.
Can you please say your name and title for the record?
Troy Gordon, Liquor Enforcement Officer on behalf of the city. Police Department did receive application for the Ayloff project, the liquor license. The background was conducted on the applicants. There was nothing that was found that would adversely reflect on the character of the applicants. The funding, documentation for funding was provided and appears to be in order as well. And the listed registered manager does appear to have experience in the liquor industry. Based on the background, there was no reason for the police department to deny application.
Perfect. Does the applicant have any questions for the police department at this time?
No, sir.
Perfect. At this time, we will call on the applicant.
Let me slow you down one more time. Does the board have any questions of Troy regarding the police investigation on this? Okay, hearing none, does the board have any questions regarding the survey that was done by Oedipus on this? Okay, so hearing none, now we can go forward with the applicant on it.
Perfect. Thank you, Ron. Can the applicant go ahead and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct?
Yes.
Please say and spell your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Scott Somerville, SCOTT-SOMERVILLE. And my home address is 9915 Summit View Drive. And that is in Sandy, Utah, 84092.
Perfect. And you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about your, your applicant. Your
Sure.
application.
So this is for the new Marriott Ayloff project, or Loft, depending on who you talk to, as to how it's pronounced, but it's one of the Marriott portfolio brands. Some of you might be familiar with the next nearest one is in Broomfield, and there's a couple of others around the Denver metro area. But brand new hotel. Fingers crossed. We're hoping to open by the end of next week. And within the hotel, and obviously for the purpose of this hearing, we do have a small food and beverage operation. It's kind of a modified breakfast menu. We're not open for lunch. For night, it's more of a bar snack menu with some small offerings, salads, sandwiches, burgers, that kind of stuff. And there will be obviously a bar serving spirits, beer and wine as well. And just some background on Marriott. The general manager, who is also on this call, his name is Tony Laus, is a longtime hotel general manager. He's been in the industry, maybe not quite as long as me, but pretty close. And the Marriott standard is anybody working at the property level that would remotely touch serving of alcohol has to be tip certified. So Tony, as a general manager on site, and there's 3 other individuals that are certified behind Tony. Obviously, we have an assistant general manager, kind of a front office manager, a lead bartender, assistant bartender, and 1 other individual all also have the proper tip certification, which is required just by Marriott as well.
Perfect. At this time, does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Hi, this is John. I have a couple quick questions here. And for the audio record, will you give us the hours of operation of serving alcohol, as well as give me a breakdown of the number of employees during that period of time that will be there, not only the folks serving the alcohol, but also the managers? Thank you.
Sure. So the general hours of operation are subject to change a little bit, but generally speaking, as far as when alcohol might be served, would be between the hours of normally 4 to 11. Obviously, with the current environment, we understand that's going to be 4 to 10, of course. And then as far as operations, besides the bartender or the lead bartender, who may or may not also be a manager, we'll have always another manager on duty and at least 1 or 2 other employees between the front desk and maintenance. And then we have professional security that starts every night at 10 o'clock in addition to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is John Velasquez. Are customers allowed to take alcohol out of the bar area?
The only place they'd be allowed to take it is to the areas covered as part of the application, which would be obviously we have a little what we call backyard patio area, but it's right by the bar, as you probably saw on the map that came with the application. There's a little, it's called, like I said, Marriott calls it the backyard area for Loft hotels. So that might be, the one place where possibly they would go out there, but that is an enclosed, secure area where only hotel guests could get into that area.
So they're not allowed to take alcohol into their rooms?
No, they would not.
Charlene, go ahead. Charlene, you're on mute.
Sorry. What is the capacity in that area? Is it a bar, is it a total private bar area? Or is it part of the lobby?
It's part of the lobby. It's a real small setup, quite frankly. There's only 8 bar stools. And obviously in this day and age, it'll end up being 4. but right now, as it's set up, there's 8. Of course, we're not open just yet. But it's a small capacity, and really the whole idea for the service here is it's just an amenity for the guest that might want a nightcap before calling it a day. As much as I'd love to say that pre-COVID it would be a hotbed of activity, that's not really the design intent. It's more of a supplement to the guests that are staying at the hotel, so that they do have a place to grab a spirit or a beer, as it might be.
And you have mentioned you're on top of the COVID restrictions for Colorado.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What is the capacity for Ayloff?
I'm sorry, you're referring to the number of rooms or?
No, yeah, the number of rooms, the occupancy.
We have 120 rooms here.
Okay.
This is John again. So if I'm a overnight guest at the hotel, and I order room service, would I be able to have them bring me up a beer with my food?
We actually do not offer room service.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome. It's a quasi, a Loft is kind of a quasi, what we would call full service hotel, where you might expect more levels of service. And this is a little bit slimmed down version of that. So while it does offer food and beverage, even our meeting space, we have one meeting room that's only 100, maybe 200 square feet. So it's again, it's a kind of a mid-scale quasi full service hotel.
I'm assuming, this is Carolyn here, I'm assuming you have a pool, a rooftop pool or something?
I wish we had a rooftop pool. That was not in the budget. but
Okay,
but
there's
yes,
no
there's
like
a pool.
area.
Yeah, there is a pool
enough.
that it's an outdoor pool, and it's part of what we call that back porch backyard area. And
So
again,
would,
it's enclosed and secured for guests only.
would guests be able to, in the pool area?
They wouldn't be allowed to have glass, but under the application, yes, that's part of the footprint of the hotel.
I have another question. Do you check each person as a person that's staying at the hotel? If someone comes to the bar, are they asked to show their room key or any identification that they are actually staying at the hotel? Or could I walk in there off the street and have a drink?
Oh, no, you could definitely walk in and have a drink. We don't suspect we'll have a lot of that foot traffic. We would love it. Again, pre-COVID, we would have loved that, but the reality is well over 90% will be guests of the hotel. But certainly if you walked in, obviously you'd have to show your proper identification and proof of age, but you do not have to be a guest of the hotel to enjoy a drink.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Are there any other questions from the board at this time? Does the applicant have any other witnesses in favor of the application? Obviously, we're on a video call, so it doesn't look like it. Does the audience out there have any other witnesses in opposition to this application? Perfect. At this time, we will close the public portion of this hearing. Does the board have anything that we'd like to discuss?
Hi, this is John again, and I just would like to point out, looking at the petitioner or the results of the petition, 97.65% of the folks that had signed it were in favor of granting the application.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'd like to say I worked for the Marriott for a long time, and Marriott has very strict guidelines when it comes to liquor and rules to that thing. And I personally don't think it's going to be an issue giving them a license.
Parker, I would just caution you on bringing outside evidence regarding
My
crack.
apologies.
No worries. Just wanted to let you know, just so the board knows.
Well, are we ready for a motion then?
Yeah.
Okay, based on the evidence and testimony presented, I move that the board find that the application satisfies the state and local requirements for the licensure and that the board approve the application.
Do we have a second at this time?
This is John. I second the motion.
Do we have anyone Do we have anyone not in favor of this motion? All in favor, say aye.
Parker, I think I should do a roll call
Roll
vote
call
on this,
vote.
if you're okay.
Yes, roll call vote is great.
Brown,
Yes.
Hatfield, you're muted, Carol.
Yes.
You say yes, thank you. Mo,
Yes.
Rommelfinger,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Velasquez.
Yes.
The motion carries 6-0.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, everybody.
Woohoo! I'll reach out to Danielle as soon as I get the license from the state and get that to you all as soon as I can, along with signs that need to be posted.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and move to our next business, hearing to consider a beer and wine liquor license for Mugi Ramen and Poke.
I believe it's Poke.
Okay. Do we have anyone present from them?
I see Christina is on the call. Christina, if you just want to unmute and let them know that you are present, that would be lovely.
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect.
Perfect. Mary Joy, can you go ahead and read the application into the record, please?
I sure will. The board is here to consider a beer and wine liquor license for a Mugi Westminster Inc. doing business as Mugi Ramen and Poke, 1181 West 120th Avenue, Suite 100. Pardon my typo in the memo. The property is zoned PUD, planned unit development, and the sale of alcoholic beverages by the drink for on-premise consumption isn't allowed. Juice. Notice of the hearing was published in the Westminster Window on August 6th, and the property has been posted with signage to notify passersby of the date and time of this hearing for more than 10 days preceding the hearing. The designated neighborhood boundaries for petitioning purposes were on the north 124th Avenue, on the south 116th Avenue, on the west Pecos Street, Pecos Street, and on the east I-25. Surveying was done by Oedipus Inc. and a report of the results together with the map showing where petitioning was conducted is included in the packet for the board's review. There are no other beer and wine licenses within the designated neighborhood. There was previously a beer and wine license at this very unit. It was issued to an Uncle Mattio's pizza joint, but it closed back in March of 2018. There has not been a denial of a beer or wine license application at this location or within 500 feet of it within the preceding 2 years. I enter this information for the record.
Perfect. Thank you. Did you get a copy, applicant, did you get a copy of the survey?
I haven't.
Would you like a copy, or do you have any questions on the survey?
I don't have any question, but I would like a copy, please.
Perfect. Mary Joy, can we get her a copy, please?
I definitely will get that to her. Christina, did you want me to try to scan it to you now, or can I get it for you in the morning?
You can give it to me later. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Does the board have any questions regarding this report? Perfect. At this time, can Troy go ahead and read the report in for the record?
Yes, again, Troy Gordon, Air Liquor Enforcement Officer on behalf of the city. Police Department did receive the application. The background was conducted on the applicant. There was nothing that would reflect unfavorably upon the character of the applicant. The CBI and FBI results have since returned since time of the report, and they were fine. Documentation for funding was provided and appears to be proper. And the registered manager did list that they have experience in the liquor industry. And based on the background, there's no reason for the police department to deny application.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any questions for the police department at this time?
No, I'm not.
Does the board have any questions regarding this report? Perfect. Hey, Ron, does she need to have her video on to be sworn in?
No, we can do that.
Okay. Perfect. At this time, could you go ahead and raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please say and spell your name and address for the record.
Christina, Christistina, and the last name Ludwig, Ludwick, and my home address is 10914 Valley Brook, ValleyBrook Circle. That's in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, 80130.
Thank you. Could you tell us a little bit about your application at this time?
Okay, so we are a fast food restaurant, a brand new fast food restaurant called Mugi and Poke, and we sell Japanese ramens and also Hawaiian poke. So we currently are doing business without a liquor license. What we are trying is apply liquor license so we can sell some traditional Japanese beer and also sake. So personally, I've been managing a restaurant for the past 10 years. I had a couple of restaurants with a liquor license before, so we do have a lot of experience. And then for our current space, we also ask all of our full-time employee to get their TIP certificate. And personally myself, I finished my TIP training a couple years ago and got issued my certificate. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, we'll ask the board if they have any questions.
Yes, this is John again. I had some of the same questions. Your hours of operation, and then would you give me an idea of what the staff will look like during those hours of operations, including servers and management?
Okay, so our operation is every day from Monday to Friday from 11 to 9 p.m. Saturday, Sunday we do noon to 9 p.m. And normally we have one manager on site, including 2 servers in the front. And we also have a 2 shift which does not touch any alcohol. So we have 2 server plus a manager.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Carol, can you turn your camera off unless you're ready to speak, please? And then if you're ready, if you want to speak, just turn your camera on. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Anyone else would like to speak at this time? Go ahead, Charlie.
The capacity for the restaurant and I guess, reduction in the capacity due to the COVID. How are you handling that situation currently? Because you are currently open?
Okay, so right now we're currently open. We do have an outdoor patio, which is our capacity is 36 people, same as indoor. And right now we only allowed 50% of the indoor and outdoor patio seating. We keep the table. We kind of limited the indoor seating. We try to skip a table so people can sit like at least about 8 feet apart from each other.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you ever had any, or you're not serving alcohol at this time, so you've never had any liquor violations. What type of liquor training has your staff been involved in?
Okay, so for all of my full-time employees, they are already signed up for the TIPS certificate, and I require all of them to at least get one. And then, so we had my lawyer scheduled, same as our other restaurant. We have a lawyer scheduled every other month, come in for the new employee training, And then also he come in once a year to do a whole group training for all the employees.
Perfect. And then what's your policy that if someone does get involved in a liquor violation, what happens to that employee?
Okay, so right now we only allow a full-time employee to serve alcohol. And then for employees with violation before, we will definitely do extra training, and then we will consider, we have multiple locations. And for this location, we want all the employees at least without any of the violation before, and we can transfer them over.
Perfect. Anyone else have anything at this time?
So do
Go
you
ahead.
currently have, are you currently operating another location here in Colorado? Did I understand that correctly?
Okay, so we used to have a Japanese sushi restaurant that we do have a liquor license. We sold that restaurant in January of 2020.
Okay, so currently you have no other, this is the only one that you'd be managing.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Tracy, you're on mute.
So I am looking at your application and it is showing other businesses where it says present. So is that not current?
Okay,
On your history record, it's actually showing other businesses from
Mary
different
Jo,
to current.
when was this application filled out?
I received the application on, pardon me, I just have to get there really quick. I received it on July.
I'm seeing a signature oath of applicant signed on 6/15/2020.
Yes, and I received the application on July 20th.
okay. So under my name, there are, I have multiple other business, but they do not serve liquor. So only the restaurant that serve liquor is Okinawa Sushi and Ajinoya Ramen. But we do have a different manager managing both of those restaurants. And we sold Okinawa Sushi in January of 2020. And we're still operating Ajinoya, but we have a different manager and a totally a different team managing that restaurant. But I do have a share over 20%. So by the application, I do have to put in on any business, I do have a share over 20%.
Perfect. Any other questions? At your other restaurant, did you ever have any liquor violations?
No, we do not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions at this time? If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and close the public portion of this hearing. Does the board have any questions amongst themselves?
This is John again. The only thing I would like to point out is that along with the petition of 112 possible signatures, 109 or 97% were in favor of issuing the license based on the needs and desires of the community. So I just want to say that for the record.
Perfect. Anybody else at this time? Do we have a motion in favor or not or against?
In favor.
I second the favor.
There
Do
is
we
a
need?
there
Yeah.
is an official motion sheet that was attached to the email that she sent out that you need to read.
If Tracy or Carol doesn't have it, I'll read it.
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Based upon the evidence and testimony presented, I move that the board find that the application satisfies the state and local requirements for the licensure and that the board approve the application.
And this is John. I will second the motion.
Perfect. Mary Joy, can we go ahead and get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Brown,
Yes.
Hatfield,
You're on mute.
Hatfield.
Yes.
You're on mute, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. Mo,
Yes.
Rommelfinger,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Velasquez.
Yes.
That motion does pass 6-0.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, good luck.
Christina, I will let you know as soon as I receive the license from the state, so we can get you that and get you the signs that you need to post.
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Stay safe.
You too.
Thank you.
So I just, for the board, before we end tonight, I just wanted to mention that we most likely are not going to need the September 3rd hearing. I do not have any applications that are have been submitted that are ready to be heard on that date. But I think I'll wait till next week and I'll just send out an email asking you guys to vote to cancel that. But then on September 16th, there will be an application from an existing licensed Yak and Yeti restaurant. They're going to be applying to move their liquor license from their current location to a new location within the city. So we definitely will be having items for the board to consider on September 16th. And that's what I had to offer. Any questions or anything? Ron, looks like you might want to speak.
I just let you know that I'm not, it's September 2nd would be our meeting. And I won't be in town that day. So if you do decide or have something, we'll need to let us know so we can get someone else to cover that.
Okay, definitely we'll do that.
Thank y'all. Thanks for bearing with me tonight.
I tell you, Parker, that second one went smoother.
Yeah, it did. I knew if I could get past the first one, the second one wouldn't be that bad.
Oh, and I'd say just to give you all an update, I know Tracy and Carol, you're not involved with this, but our 106 action for our denial of the Cabaret license is still ongoing. We're working on certifying the record for that. We do have outside counsel that's handling it, so we're just in that long litigation time frame. So,
hey, Rich, I got a question for you. And
good evening.
And Ron. So I was listening to part of the city council meeting because that's what I like to do the other night. And if this marijuana proposal passes, what does that technically mean for us?
Well, and that was a study session discussion, and at that point, and we were going to hold that over. The mayor was unavailable, and Councilor Scully was out. So we were going to have that discussion on Monday night. Though we did not have enough votes to move that forward to put that on the ballot. So. We were going to revisit that again when we have a full council so that we can have everyone's voice on that. But unless the numbers change dramatically, that's not something that we could, actually, we would have to have it ready Monday. And so the 24th is the deadline to propose a ballot measure for this year. So I would say the chances are slim, and that was something that Councilor DeMott brought up as far as how this would affect special permits and licensing, since he is very well connected to this, having served on the board and then as the liaison too. So if it went on the ballot, then it would still be as far as passage, and then we would have to work through the rules and regulations on that. So the city attorney's office would be very busy over the next year, because it would not be something that I believe we could implement, even though this is a business that has been curing in Colorado for a while. We want to look at our own rules and regulations very specific for that. So I think you're going to get a pass for at least a few months.
That's what I like to do on my Monday nights. I sit there and I listen to these meetings with y'all.
Yeah, we would have to rewrite the code to put in all of that in, and then it'd be, council would have to approve that. So we'd have to determine, and council would have to be on board with whoever we give that regulatory authority to. So no guarantees it goes to SPLB, but I would assume that'd be an option that would be considered.
We were just brought up in the discussion. That's why I asked.
Didn't want to throw that much fun at you right away.
Right.
I have a question. I don't know how many of us were together when this happened. Mary Joy, I'm sure you'll remember it. When we talked about the TIPS training, in both of these cases, the last two, they said they had the TIPS training. Remember we talked about one time that they would provide us with a copy of their TIPS training, at least by the manager, as part of their application. I mean, if you recall, the conversation was that we're just believing that they did this. I think Ron was in on that conversation too.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of the other board members were. What did we ever end up deciding on that as an action item? Because again, we're just assuming that they're telling us the truth. So I kind of, that came back to mind here.
I'm just kind of flipping through the rest of the application because she did submit quite a few things, and let me look here. I guess my question for the board is if I do get those certificates or proof of responsible vendor training, do you guys want me to include that in the packet? Or do you want me to just make that as part of my comments? What's your preference?
I mean, to me, making part of the comments, I trust you.
Okay.
Rather than an actual requirement, I mean, would we, or could we?
I think Mary Joy's saying if she sees a physical copy of it,
right.
Do you want her to put the physical copy of it in the packet? Or do you just want her to say when she's reading it in the record that she has the physical copy?
Well, her confirmation is good enough for me, but I was just wondering if we talked about that we should actually require having that, back to that incident that happened with that one license.
Yeah, Charlene is referring to a case that kept saying that they had it, and we said, how do we know that you have it? We haven't seen that you have it, and they said we will give it to Mary Joy. How do we know that they actually turned it in? Is that what you're saying, Charlene?
Right. I'm saying that one incident where they applied for the license the same day as the board meeting, and we weren't even sure if that was the correct date that they had actually gone through the training.
Well, I guess if I could make that mention on the sheet that I send out to people that request new liquor license packets, I could put on there that if they have already secured or participated or have a certificate showing that they've completed responsible vendor training, we would love them to submit that along with everything else that they are required to submit. And then I could start adding that to the comments. I'm happy to start adding that to those those sheets when we get requested for new licenses.
So I would say that the board, it wouldn't be a consideration if they're tip certified unless they're on-premise consumption licenses, simply because it's not a requirement by the state that you be tip certified to do this. However, I could see that the tip certification can be something that the board says they are going to require when considering the management of their, at least that the managers are tip certified. So if this board wanted to mandate that as part of the application process, you could do that for on-premise only. But that's kind of your decision. If you want to mandate it or just suggest it, or however you want to proceed with that.
Yeah, I think the management should have to have it.
Yeah, I think it should be mandated for the management at least. That's just my 2 cents.
Does anyone else have any objections? Or have any thoughts or comments on that? That's me and Charlene.
Come on, Tracy and Carol.
You two are highly competent, whatever you say.
Tracy, I know you like to talk.
I don't,
I'm just messing with you.
no, as we get older, we learn to be quiet.
Right?
Oh, honey,
That's my
not
problem.
true. I think I'm the oldest one here and I'm not too quiet.
Carol,
Charlene,
did you?
I really liked this. Charlene, I really liked that you brought that up actually, because I was thinking similar during both of the reviews tonight. I was thinking, how do we know that they are certified? I think even if it wasn't required, if Mary Joy was able to add it as an FYI, they have attached this. I think it would be very beneficial to us to see that proof before we even go through the hearing, for sure.
Right. I agree.
So if you want to mandate it, you have to go through a vote for that.
Perfect.
Mary Joy to put it on as a recommendation, I think she can do that administratively.
Perfect. Do we need a motion to for a vote, or can we just make
Motion
a vote?
and second.
All right. Can we get a motion for that?
Well, I guess since I started it, I guess I should motion. I motion that we require a tip certificate, at least from the manager, on all new applications. Is that enough legal talk?
Or on-premise consumption.
For on-premise consumption only.
I'll second that motion. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Brown,
Yes.
Hatfield,
Yes.
Moe,
Yes.
Rommelfinger,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Velasquez.
No.
Okay. The motion carries 5-1.
Perfect. Do we have anything else we need to discuss?
This is John again. I want to get back to the your Monday night, nothing to do, listening to the city council meeting. And that is, I just want to second what Ron and Rich have alluded to, that if the city decides to allow that, that is no small task. Having served on a licensing board which had allowed it, it's very interesting, the zoning effort that goes into that too, and where they can be held at. So anyway, I appreciate the work that if you guys go forward with, you're going to have to contend with to get that passed.
Thank you. Any other comments at this time? Would anyone like to give a motion to adjourn this meeting?
One second. There is a comment from Troy
Sorry.
asking for clarification on specific to tips. Tips is a certain vendor who does training. We typically, and I think we allow other responsible vendor training. So just to clarify on the motion that was passed, is the board comfortable with it being a responsible vendor training approved by the city?
Yes,
As
any
opposed to specifically tips?
responsible liquor vendor training approved by the city and state. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we need a new motion for that?
I think we'll be fine having that go through and expanding it to responsible vendors.
Perfect.
Right, that's how I noted it. If we just get a motion to adjourn in a second, we can call this meeting an evening.
I make a motion to adjourn the August 19th special license and permit meeting.
This is John. I second the motion.
Everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you,
night.
you guys. Good night.
Good job.
Good night.
Good night, all. Be safe.